Imagine this. You are a young doctor. A worried mother comes in and says, my son drinks 2 energy drinks a day and now he has heart palpitations. Is there a link? You suspect there might be. But how would you prove it? Would you give energy drinks to healthy kids and see what happens? That would be unethical. So, what do you do? Welcome back. I'm Dr. Sikander Memon, and today we are going to crack the code of study designs, the blueprint of every medical research study. By the end of this lecture, you won't just name the study designs, you will choose the right one for any clinical questions. Let's go. We follow Bloom's taxonomy here, from simple recall to creative problem solving. Remember, name the types, understand, explain principles, apply, match designs to real questions, analyze, compare strengths and weaknesses, evaluate, judge evidence quality, create, propose your own designs for a novel problem. Every slide is tagged with its Bloom's level, so let's start at the very bottom. Remember, think of evidence like a pyramid. The top is the strongest, the bottom is the weakest. At the very top, systematic reviews and meta analysis, they combine multiple studies. Below that, randomized controlled trials, the gold standard, then cohort studies, then case control, then cross sectional. At the bottom, case reports and expert opinion. Why does this matter? Because when a drug company claims their new pill works, you need to ask, what's the design? If they show you a case series, be skeptical. If they show you an RCT, pay attention. Today, we'll cover all the designs highlighted in blue from top to bottom. All study designs split into two big families. Experimental studies. The researcher intervenes. They assign people to a treatment or a control, like a chemist mixing chemicals. You change something and watch what happens. Observational studies. The researcher observes, no intervention. You just measure what people are already doing or what has already happened, like a wildlife documentarian. You watch, you don't touch. Which one proves causation? Experimental? Which one is more ethical when you cannot randomize? Observational. Keep that trade off in mind. Let's start with the king of evidence, the randomized controlled trial or RCT. Here's how it works. You take a group of eligible patients, you randomize them, like flipping a coin, into two groups. One gets the new treatment, the other gets a placebo or standard care. Then you measure the outcome. Why is randomization so powerful? Because it balances everything, known and unknown confounders, age, smoking, genetics, all spread equally. Then you blind. Single blind, the patient doesn't know which group. Double blind, patient and doctor don't know. Triple blind, even the statistician doesn't know until the end. Example, you want to test a new antihypertensive, randomize 200 patients, give drug or placebo for 6 months, measure change in systolic blood pressure. Strengths, highest internal validity, proves causation. Limitations, expensive, time consuming, sometimes unethical. Can you randomly assign people to smoke? And always report using concert guidelines. That flow diagram is mandatory for publication. The other two experimental designs you must know. Crossover trial. Each patient gets both treatments in sequence with a washed out period in between. The patient serves as your own control. Great for chronic stable conditions like pain or asthma, but beware the carryover effect. The first treatment is still influencing the second. Cluster randomized trial. You randomize entire group, not individuals. Schools, villages, clinics. Example, randomize 10 schools to nutrition education versus standard teaching. Outcome, average BMI. Avoid contamination but needs larger sample size and special statistics. Inter-class correlation. And community field trials. Whole communities get an intervention like fluoride in water or insecticide treated nets against malaria. Hard to control confounders but gives real world effectiveness. Now we move to observational designs. First up, cohort study. The word cohort comes from ancient Roman military, a group of soldiers marching forward. Same here, you start with a disease free population, you split them into exposed and non exposed, and you follow them forward in time to see who develops the outcome. There are two flavors. Prospective cohort, you recruit now and follow for years. Classic example, the Framingham Heart Study. 5,000 adults tracked for decades. Expensive but excellent data. Retrospective cohort, you use existing records from the past. Example, take asbestos exposure records from 1980, then check death certificates up to 2020. Faster and cheaper, but you are stuck with whatever data was collected. Key measures relative risk RR is equal to risk in exposed divided by risk in unexposed. Relative risk greater than 1 means exposure increase risk. Relative risk less than 1 means protective. Strengths good for common diseases, can study multiple outcomes. And what are the weaknesses? Long follow up, expensive, loss to follow up. Now flip the direction. Case control study. Start with the outcome, people who already have the disease, cases. Then find a comparable group without the disease. For that means controls. Then look backward in the time to see who was exposed. Why do this? For rare diseases. If only 1 in 100,000 people get a brain tumor, a cohort study would need millions of participants. With case control, you just find 50 cases and 100 controls. Classic example, Doll and Hill 1950. They took lung cancer patients and matched healthy controls, asked about smoking, and found the first strong link between cigarettes and lung cancer. Key measures odds ratio for rare diseases or approximates relative risk. Strengths quick, cheap, excellent for rare diseases. Weaknesses recall bias. Sick people may remember exposures differently. Also, hard to select good controls. Matching is critical. Cases and controls should be similar in age, sex, setting to reduce confounding. Next, cross-sectional study, the snapshot. You measure exposure and the disease at the same time in a defined population. No follow-up, no looking back, just a single point in time. Think of a national health survey. You go door to door, check blood pressure, and ask about diet on the same day. What can you measure? Prevalence. How many people have the disease right now? You cannot measure incidence, the new cases, or prove causality because you don't know what came first. Use it to estimate disease burden, plan health services, or generate hypotheses fast, cheap, but suffers from non response bias and cannot determine cause and effect. Example, WHO STEPS survey, diabetes prevalence in a district. Now, the bottom of the pyramid, ecological study. Unit of analysis is the group, not the individual. Compare countries' average fat intake with their heart disease rates. Very cheap using existing data. But watch out, the ecological fallacy. A group level association does not mean it's true for individuals. Just because countries with more cheese have fewer heart attack doesn't mean you should eat a kilo a day. Case report. Detailed description of one unusual patient. Case series 3 to 20 similar patients. These are hypothesis generators. They first identified AIDS and thalidomide birth defects, but they have no control group, so they cannot prove causation. Use care guidelines if you ever write one. Let's compare all four designs side by side. First, direction. RCT and cohort go forward in time. Case control goes backward. Cross sectional is a snapshot, one movement in a time. Second, randomization. Only RCT uses randomization. All others do not. Third, key measures. RCT measures efficacy. Does the treatment work? Cohort measures relative risk. Case control measures odds ratio. Cross sectional measures prevalence. Fourth, rare diseases. RCT difficult and expensive. Cohort needs a very large number of people. Case control excellent for rare diseases. Cross sectional not good if disease is rare. Fifth, bias risk. RCT has the lowest bias risk. Cohort has moderate risk. Case control has recall bias risk. Cross sectional has prevalent case bias risk. Now let's talk about bias and confounding. First, selection bias. This is a mistake in how you choose your participants. For example, healthy worker effect. Workers are healthier than general people. So you think a job is safe, but you are wrong. You underestimated the risk. Second, information bias. This is a mistake in how you measure data. Example 1, recall bias. People with disease remember past exposures better than healthy people. Example 2, observer's bias. If the doctor knows which treatment the patient got, the doctor might measure the outcome differently. Third, confounding. This is a third variable that messes up your results. It is linked to both exposure and outcome. Example, age confounds smoking and lung cancer. Older people smoke more and also get more cancer. So, is it smoking or age? You must separate them. How to prevent confounding? Use randomization, matching, stratification, or statistics. Finally, two types of validity. Internal validity. Was the study done correctly? No major mistakes inside the study. External validity. Can we apply these results to other people, to other hospitals, other countries? A study can be perfect inside but useless outside. And a study can be useful outside but badly done inside. You need both. So, how do you choose? Ask 5 questions. Can I ethically randomize? If yes, RCT. Is the outcome rare? If yes, case control. Do I need prevalence? If yes, cross sectional. Do I have time and money for long follow up? If yes, cohort. What level of evidence do I need? Let's test you. Question number 1. A researcher follows 500 factory workers for 10 years, recording smoking habits and tracking lung cancer. What design? The answer is prospective cohort. Forward direction, disease free at start. Question number 2. A researcher identifies 50 hepatitis B patients and 50 healthy controls, then asks about past blood transfusions. The answer is case control study. It starts with disease, looks backward. Question number 3. A national survey measures blood glucose in 2000 adults on a single day. This estimates the answer is prevalence. Snapshot in time. Now the create level. Scenario 1. A drug company wants definitive proof that a new dengue vaccine works. Best design RCT. Only experimental designs prove causation. Randomized vaccine versus placebo. Scenario 2. Mobile phone radiation and brain tumors. Very rare disease. Limited resources. The best design would be case control study. Efficient for rare outcomes. Quick answer. Scenario 3. Government needs current burden of hypertension in Pakistan to plan resources. The best design would be cross-sectional survey, prevalence estimate, fast and cheap. Scenario 4, do high-fat diets lead to CVD over 20 years in 5,000 disease-free adults? The best design would be prospective cohort, long-term exposure, forward direction, calculate relative risk. Time to wrap up. 1. RCTs are the gold standard because randomization enables causal inference. 2. Observational studies. Cohort, case controlled, cross sectional. Each has a unique strength. Cohort for long term risk, case control for rare diseases, cross sectional for prevalence. 3. Match your design to your question. Treatment, RCT. Etiology, cohort or case control. Burden of disease, cross sectional. 4. Always identify potential biases, selection, information, confounding before you believe the results. 5. Report relative risk for cohort, odds ratio for case control, and always include 95% confidence interval. And remember this quote: Epidemiology is the basic science of public health. Mastering study designs is mastering the language of medicine. If this helped you, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments. Can you think of a rare disease where a case control study would be impossible? Why? I'm Dr. Sikander Memon. See you in the next lecture.